Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. How are you? I hope you'd be fine. Cambridge Lower Secondary, Book 7. Today we are going to do exercise 11.4. We have already done a few questions earlier related to this chapter, so you are very much thorough with what is graph and how to deal with graph. In this exercise particularly, we are going to talk about rate, quantity, time, and everything related to graph. So let's start with question number 1. In this question, you can see that there is a graph and it reflects two types of quantities, one on the x-axis, the other one on the y-axis. So let's start. A boy is walking. The graph shows how far he walks. Part A, how far does he walk in 5 minutes? So how can we calculate, that is how much is he walking in 5 minutes? For that, we are going to find out that where has the time been given. So if we look at the graph, you can see that time is given on the x-axis. It means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 expresses the time in minutes. That is, this is 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and so on. So what are they asking us? They're asking how far does he walk in 5 minutes? We can see that on the y-axis, they have provided us with the distance in meters. M expresses meters. That is 100 meters, 200 meters, 300 meters, 400 meters. So let's see that how far does he walk in 5 minutes. For that, what are we going to do? We'll just put the scale at 5 and start going upwards in the straight line. And we'll figure out that where does this line coincide with the y coordinate. So if we look over here, we'll go back to the y axis and we'll find out that he has traveled a distance of 400 meters in just 5 minutes. So you see, for this, we just have to read out the graph. We'll find out that where the line coincides each coordinate, and that would be the answer. So we can say that he walks 400 meters in 5 minutes. Then part B comes, copy and complete this table. In this one, we just have to complete the table. Now let's try to complete this table, reading this graph. So if we start from 1 minute, we will look that the graph tells us that it's not coinciding 100. So what are we going to do? We'll just draw a line over here and try to figure out that how much time, how much distance has been covered in 1 minute. So if we look over here, students, and we split these two boxes into 100 units, so each box will contain 50 meters, right? And if we look over here at the red line, it reflects that this is 80 meters. So we'll write it over here that in 1 minute, the boy is walking 80 meters. Then if we look at 2 minutes, this comes over here. So it tells us that it would be like 160, around 160 meters. Then in 3 minutes, it would be 240, right? It's just before 250, that is right in between 200 and 300 would fall 250, and it's right before 250, so it would be 240. Okay. And then if we look at 4 minutes, so we'll see that it's around 320. And then at 5 minutes, we have already figured out that it was 400 meters. At 6 minutes, we'll see it shows like quite before 500, so it would be 480. And then at 7 minutes, it's like quite above 550, so it would be 560. So you see, this is how we are going to fill the table using the graph. Now, next they are saying, what is the rate of walking in meters per minute? If this part would have been given before part B would have been become very much easy for us. Why? Because they are asking what is the rate of walking. So keep this in mind, that how do we find the rate? Rate is very simple to find. Just what you have to do, you just have to put the quantity in the numerator and time in the denominator to find out the rate. And how you can figure out that why we are doing this, why we are using this formula. So you see what is the rate of walking in meters. What is meters? Meter is the unit of distance. Distance is a quantity. Therefore, we will write it down in the numerator. Right? Quantity is the distance. Distance is expressed in meters. So they are saying find out the rate of walking in meters per minute. If we have to find it out in per minute means upon minute. That is in 1 minute. So you see, minute is the unit of time. Meter per minute means meter upon 1 minute. Meter upon how many meters the boy will cover. How many meters is he going to walk in 1 minute? That's what we have to find. And how can we find it? We will take any of the quantities from the table and we'll have the constant answer. That is, if we take the 5 minutes from part A. So we can see that he has traveled 400 meters in 5 minutes. So if we keep 400 meters in the numerator, 5 minutes in the denominator, and then simplify it, 5 ones are 5, 5 eights are 40 and 0. So we will get the answer as 80 meter per minute. What does it mean? It means the boy will travel 80 meters in 1 minute at this rate. And therefore, he will travel 160 meters in 2 minutes, 240 meters in 3 minutes, 320 meters in 4 minutes. And if you take any other quantity from the given one, like if you take 160 meters upon 2 minutes, or if you take 240 meters upon 3 minutes, or if you take 320 minutes upon 4 minutes, in all the cases, you'll get the constant answer, that is 80. 2 ones are 2, 2 eighties are 160, 3 ones are 3, 3 eights are 24 and 0, 4 ones are 4, 4 eights are 32 and 0. So you see, in every case, we are getting the same answer, that is 80 meter per minute. This is what rate is all about. And this is how we calculate the rate. Next, we have part D. How far does the boy walk in 10 minutes? So if we are provided with the time, we will use the same formula. That is, rate is equals to quantity upon time. If we have to find out the time, what are we going to do? We will make this time the subject. Time will come on the place of rate and rate will go in place of time. And this formula would become quantity upon rate. That's it. So this is the formula we are going to use for finding the quantity, the rate and time. So the third formula would be like, if we have to find out the quantity, then what we are going to do? We will simply multiply the rate multiply by time. That is, if we have to calculate the distance, we will multiply the rate with time. If we have to calculate the time, that is in how many minutes is he going to cover this much distance. So we will use this formula. So these are the three formulas that we are going to use in this exercise. Okay. So if we have to find out that how far does the boy walk in 10 minutes, So what are we going to do? We will keep the rate constant. That is, the rate is equals to 80 meter per minute. The quantity is 10 minutes. Sorry, we have to find out the quantity. They have given us with the time, 10 minutes. How far does he walk in 10 minutes? It means we have to find out the quantity, not the time. So which formula are we going to use? We will use this formula, time multiplied by rate. And it will be, time is given as 10 and we have already calculated the rate, and rate would remain constant across all the questions for this particular exercise. So rate is given as 80. It means at the rate of 80 meter per minute, he will travel 10 multiplied by 80, that is 800 meters in 10 minutes. And here the quantity is basically the distance, which we are going to express in meters. We have to write down the units as well in each of these questions. It means, students, if we keep on extending the line, after 10 minutes, this line will coincide somewhere at 800 meters. You understand? So by using the graph, we can find any of the quantity if the time or a rate is given. And then part E says, write down a function for the distance walked in t minutes. So what is the function that we have derived? That distance is equals to time into rate. So if they are saying, let us write it down once again. Distance is equals to time into rate. If they are saying we have to write down a function for the distance as d, so we will replace distance with d, meters, is equals to time into rate. And students, since the rate is going to be constant across all these values, so we can write it as d is equals to t multiplied by 80. Because whatever time would be given, we will just multiply it by 80 and we will come up with the distance. So distance is equals to 80t would be the function. Because we can keep the constant number in number form. Okay. Then we have been provided with part F. Show that the boy will take more than 12 minutes to walk 1 kilometer. Okay, let's see. What has been given in this question? They're saying show that the boy will take more than 12 minutes to walk 1 kilometer. 1 kilometer distance is given, and let's see how much time does it take at the rate of 80 meters per second. So 1 kilometer is equals to 1000 meters. First, we are going to convert it into meters because rate is given in meter per second. So, using the same formula, distance is equals to 80t. What are we going to do? We will substitute the value of distance, which is 1000 meters. 80 would remain same. And instead of writing time over here, we will write it down as t. Let us find out that how much time will it take to travel 1000 meters. So what are we going to do? Since 80 is multiplied by t on the other hand side, what will happen? This will be divided with 1000. So it becomes 1000 upon 80 is equals to t. Now we will cut the 0 with the 0. 8 ones are 8. And if we divide 100 by 80, what do we get? 8 twos are 16, 4.0, 540. So how much time does it take to travel a distance of 1000 meters? It is 12.5 minutes. So yes, it has been proved that if he has to travel 1 kilometers, that is 1000 meters, it will take more than 12 minutes. And how much time is it taking? It is 12.5 minutes, which is more than 12 minutes. So yes, it has been proved. It's correct. Is the gradient positive, negative, or zero? So what have we learned about positive gradient or negative gradient or zero gradient? So if the line is going upward, so it is the positive gradient. If the line is going downward, it would be a negative gradient. And if the line is straight on the x-axis, then it would be a zero gradient. Since the line is going upward, so it would be a positive gradient. Okay, students. Let's do question number 2. It's the same question in this graph. The liters of petrol in a car throughout a journey are given. As you can see, time is given on the x-axis, petrol in liters is given on the y-axis. So let us first recall the formulas. Rate is equals to quantity upon time. So in this case, quantity is petrol. So it would be rate is equals to petrol upon time. That is how much liter is required in how much time. So first we have to find out that how much petrol is in the car at the start of the journey. If we have to find out that how much petrol is in the car at the start of the journey, so we will look at the origin, and at the origin we are going to read out the quantity of petrol in liters, which is 30. It means at the start of the journey, there was 30 liter of petrol in the car. That's it. Whatever reading is given on the y-axis at the origin would be the quantity of the petrol, right? And you can see time is 0 over here. How do we know that? Because at 0, if we look at x-axis, it is 0 at 30 liters. It means that the car has not started its journey and there is 30 liter petrol in the car. How much petrol is in the car after 1.5 hours? So we will look between 1 and 2, right? In between 1 and 2, it is 1.5 hours. And putting a scale, we'll look at how much petrol is in the car after 1.5 hours. So if we look closely, we'll find that it is around 21 liters. Look, because it's quite above 20, so it's not 20, it's 21 liters. From the graph, we can see that it's 21 liter petrol after 1.5 hours, right? Now this time, the time is given in hours, not in minutes. Work out the rate at which the car uses petrol in liters per hour. How are we going to find out the rate? We have to find out the rate using the same formula, that is quantity upon time. In this case, the quantity is petrol in liters. Time is given in hours, right? So you see, we have to find out the rate in liter. Liter will come in the numerator. Per hour. Per hour means upon hour. Hour will come in the denominator. So this would be easier for you to understand that which quantity will come in the numerator and which will go in the denominator. So how much petrol is there? Since we have to find out the rate, so we can take any of the two quantities, corresponding quantities. So if we'll take petrol as 30 liters, so we'll take time at 0. But we are not going to take this one because we are not going to get any answer. So we'll take the other quantity, that is 21 liter petrol after 1.5 hours, right? So it would be 21 upon 1.5. Let's divide it now. So to divide it, what we are going to do, we will multiply both by 10. Since there is a decimal in the denominator, so it becomes 210 upon 15. Acha, wait, students. There is one thing that we have to discuss over here. That is, we have to work out the rate at which the car uses petrol. Okay, we do not have to work. That is how much petrol is remaining. This quantity, that is 21 liter, is remaining because how much petrol is in the car at the start of the journey and how much petrol is in the car after 1.5 hours. So basically, we will not use at how much petrol is after 1.5 hours in the car, but we will take the amount of petrol that has been used in 1.5 hours. So how are we going to calculate it? We will calculate it, that is, earlier there was 30-liter petrol when the car started the journey, and after 1.5 hours the petrol in the car is 21 liters. So amount of petrol that has been used would be 30 minus 21. Why? Because it has used 9 liter of petrol in 1.5 hours. You can see that if there was 30-liter petrol initially and now there is 21 liter of petrol, it means 9 liter of petrol has been used. So it would be 9 upon 1.5, not 21 upon 1.5. If you will take 21 upon 1.5, the rate would be different and the answer would be wrong. So now we will multiply both by 10 and then we will get 90 upon 50. So the answer would be 15 6 are 90. That is 6 liter per hour has been used if in 1.5 hours 9 liter has been used. This is the answer to part C. If the car uses petrol at the same rate, how long will it take until the car has no petrol? Acha. Whenever you come up with this type of questions which says how long will it take, it means the time has been asked in the question. It means we have to calculate the time. What time? When there would be no petrol, the petrol would be 0. So if we have to calculate the time, so what can we do? To find out the time, what we have to do, we just have to divide the quantity with the rate. So let us assess the question, what is required in the question. If the car uses petrol at the same rate, that is rate is constant. What is the rate? 6 liter per hour. If the car uses 6 liter in 1 hour, it means it will use 12 liter in 2 hours. Uh, 6 multiplied by 3, 18 liter in 3 hours. And similarly, in 4 hours, it will use 4 multiplied by 6, that is 24 liter. And in 5 hours, it will use 30 liter. And we have already discussed in part A, that is how much petrol was there in the car at the start of the journey. If there is 30 liter of petrol in the car and the car is using 6 liters in 1 hour, it means it will take 5 hours to finish the petrol in the car. So what quantity are we going to take? We will take the total quantity, that is 30 liters are present in the car, and at the rate of 6 liters per hour, if the car is using, so it would be 6 ones are 6, 6 fives are 30. 5 hours would, in 5 hours, the car will have no petrol left in it. Right? And is the gradient positive or negative or 0? Since the line is going downwards, it means the gradient is negative. Next, we have question number 3, in which it says this graph shows the cost of electricity needed to operate a machine. Again, you can see that time is given in hours on the x-axis, and this time the quantity is the cost of electricity that is needed to operate a machine, right? So in part 8 says find the cost of electricity. We have to find out the cost, that is how much does it take to needed to operate the machine for 24 hours. Let us first locate that where does 24 comes. This is 25. It means 24 would be somewhat over here. Okay. And then we'll go in the left hand direction. And it's quite below 5. So it seems like this is $4.8 because it's between 4 and 5 and very much close to 5. So we can say that in 24 hours, it takes $4.8 to operate this machine. The graph is a straight line. What does this tell you about the cost? Since the line is a straight line, so the cost of electricity for each hour is the same, right? Whenever we have a straight line, whenever there are no curves, it means the rate at which the electricity would be charged would remain same. The rate would be constant. The straight line tells us that rate would remain constant. That is, the cost of electricity for each hour is the same, right? The rate is same. Now the graph is a straight line. We have done this one. Work out the cost per hour of the electricity. Now we have to find out the cost per hour of the electricity. Cost per hour means we have to find out the rate. Rate is equals to cost per hour. That is quantity upon time. Whenever the question is just like that, work out the cost per hour. Where there is a per between, so it means you have to find out the rate. Cost will come in the numerator, the first quantity will come in the numerator, the second quantity will go in the denominator. So it would be rate is equals to cost upon hour. So which cost are we going to take? We will take the cost, that is $4.8, and how much hours? In 24 hours. So what are we going to do? We will simply divide it by 24. Since there is a decimal, so what we will do? We will multiply both by 10. It will become 48 upon 240. Then we will simplify it with 12. 12 fours are 48. 12 twos are 24 and 0. 4 ones are 4. 4 fives are 20. It means the rate would be 1 upon 5. And if we divide it, we will get the answer as 0.2. Because if you divide 5 by 1, put a decimal, here comes 0, 5 twos are 10. So the answer is $0.2 per hour. What does this mean? This rate tells us that is how much do we have to pay to operate the machine for 1 hour. That is, if we will operate the machine for 1 hour, we will pay $0.2. And according to this rate, we are going to pay for the number of hours. If we will operate the machine for 2 hours, we will pay the cost 0.2 multiply by 2. If we will operate the machine for 10 hours, then we will have to pay 10 multiply by 0.2. If we will operate the machine for n number of hours, then we will have to pay n multiply by 0.2. 0.2 is the constant and n is for the time. Work out the cost of the electricity needed to use the machine for 1 week. Now the time is given in week. In a week, there are 7 days, right? And in 1 day, there are 24 hours. So it means 1 week is equals to 24 multiplied by 7. So first we have to calculate, that is how many hours are there in 7 days. For that we are going to multiply 24 by 7 and we will get answer as 168. It means we have to find out, that is if we have to operate the machine for 168 hours, how much cost would be incurred. So using the same formula, what are we going to do to find out the cost? That is the quantity. We will simply multiply the number of hours with 0.2. 0.2 multiplied by 168 will give us the answer. Because cost is the quantity and quantity is equals to rate, which is constant 0.2. We have already calculated it into time. So if we multiply 168 with 0.2, we will get the answer as $33.6. It means to operate the machine for a whole week, we have to pay $33.6. And is the gradient positive, negative, or 0? It clearly shows us that the line is going upward, so the gradient is positive. Okay, G, next we are provided with question number 4, in which the graph shows the length of a burning candle. As you can see, the line is going down. It means it shows a negative gradient. And again, the time is given on the x-axis and the quantity is the length of the burning candle now. So since the candle is burning, so the length of the candle is reducing slowly. We have to work out the length of candle at the start. So if you have to find out that what is the length of the candle at the start, it is between 10 and 15 and it's close to 15 rather than 10. So we can say that it's 13 centimeters, right? If we make 5 units in between, 11, 12, 13, it is 13 centimeters. Simple. Now we have to copy and complete this table at 0 time, that is when the candle was lit. So at that point in time, it has a length of 13 centimeters. So at 0 minute, it was 13 centimeters. Then after 10 minutes, we can see that it's over here. So it means after 10 minutes, the candle has been reduced by 1 centimeter and reached to 12 centimeters. It was 12 centimeter length after 10 minutes. And after 20 minutes, the length was 11. After 21 minutes, the length was 10 centimeters. It means, sorry, they are asking us for after 30 minutes. So after 30 minutes, the length was, yes, the length was 10 centimeters. That is, if we look closely, we'll figure out that after every 10 minutes, that is from 0 to 10 minutes, the length reduced by only 1 centimeter. Then from 10 to 20, again, there are 10 minutes in between 10 to 20 minutes. The length was reduced from 12 centimeters to 11 centimeters. That is, it has been again reduced by 1 centimeter. So we can conclude that after every 10 minutes, the candle is reduced by 1 centimeters. So we can say that after 40 minutes, it would have been 9 centimeters. You see, how much does the length of the candle decrease? Whenever we have to calculate the amount of decrease or increase every minute, it means we have to find out the rate. Rate is equals to quantity upon time. But which quantity are we going to take? Since it clearly states that the candle decrease, it means we have to write down the amount of decrease in 1 minute. So if we look at from 0 to 10 minutes, if we take 10 minutes time, in 10 minutes time, we can see that the length has been reduced by 1 centimeter, because initially it was 13 centimeters and after 10 minutes it was 12 centimeters. So what was the decrease? What was the reduction? We have to write it down. So it is 1 upon 10. That is 1 centimeter per 10 minutes, which would be 0.1 centimeter per minute. It means that in every minute, in every single minute, the length is reducing by 0.1 centimeters, which is equals to 1 millimeter. That is, in 1 minute, the candle is reducing by 1 millimeter. Therefore, after 10 minutes, in 10 minutes time, the candle is reducing by 10 centimeters. If the candle burns at the same rate, how long will it take to burn completely? So you see, in 10 minutes, if the candle is reducing at this rate, so in 10 minutes, it is reducing by 1 centimeter. And since there are 13 centimeters, and if it is reducing at this rate, it means it will take the total time of 13 multiplied by 10 centimeters to completely get burned. So it means, what do we have to calculate? If the candle burns at the same rate, that is, the rate is constant. What is the rate? 0.1 centimeter per minute. How long will it take? I told you in the previous question that whenever the question says how long will it take, it means you have to find out the time. And we already know time is equals to quantity upon rate. What is the quantity? Quantity is the total length of the candle, which is 13. At what rate? At the rate of 0.1 centimeter per minute. So if we divide them, so what we have to do? We have to multiply both by 10 to get the answer in the whole number. 130 upon 1, which is 130 centimeters. Sorry. So 130 centimeters is 130 minutes. What does it mean? It means that it will take 130 minutes to burn completely. If it keeps on burning, it keeps on reducing at the same rate of getting burned by 0.1 centimeters in 1 minute. Is the gradient positive, negative of 0? Since the line is going downwards, it means the gradient is negative. So students, we have completed from question number 1 till 4. I know this is a bit lengthy video, but since there was required with this explanation, so I've explained it in detail. I hope you liked the video. If you like the video, please hit the like button. Do share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Take care. Allah Hafiz.